So this week, we turn our attention to the third remembrance that I, like everyone else and every other living being on this planet, will at some point die. Growing up, my mother was the center of our family's world. She loved life and everyone loved her. So it rocked our collective world when at 50, she was diagnosed with liver cancer and given 6 months to live. What? Like, how could that be? She seemed so healthy, lived a clean life, never drank, never smoked. She exercised. She ate pretty darn well, except for her one vice, ice cream. She was also my best friend. At the time, I was 21 and in a precarious state, still unsure if I really wanted to be on planet Earth. But watching how she lived those last 8 months of her life, it changed my mind. And it gave me the will and the courage to live. She knew her fate, but she continued to live and to love, and she tried to make sure that everyone had what they needed from her. I was in nursing school a few hours away, and I would drive home every weekend to be with her. I slept in her bed. I bathed her so my dad could rest and so that I could be near her. I was scared to lose her. I couldn't imagine my life without her. Knowing this, and knowing that I hadn't yet committed to life myself, she let me ask her all kinds of questions. Like, what did it feel like to be dying? What was the pain like? Did she have any regrets? What would she miss most? Well, she regretted that she wouldn't see me graduate or thrive or get married if that was what I wanted. She let me stay for all of her medical procedures, including tapping her belly to remove excess fluid, which grew more frequent. The tappings grew more frequent as time went on. And this was a gift that she gave to me personally and professionally. She wanted me to have that experience and not be scared. As time went on, she grew lighter. It seemed she was shedding more than just weight. There was a lightness and a brightness that shined from her that defied her circumstances. And her love seemed to grow beyond the confines of loving us, her family, to being in love with the world. She took nothing for granted, appreciated and was grateful for whatever time she had on planet Earth. No sunset or sunrise was ordinary. No day, no tree, no person, no animal was ordinary. Everything was special. I didn't understand what was happening, and at first, I felt hurt, like I had lost her love. But as time went on, I realized that her love grew bigger, wider, and more encompassing. And it was beautiful. How could I opt out of life when my mother is living her dying so fully? This is the question that circulated in this 21-year-old mind. And by the time she died, I knew I was committed to life. That was the gift she gave me. Her dying showed me the value of life, not taking anything for granted. Now, my mother was a good Catholic girl. She knew nothing of Buddhism. But she understood the preciousness of being born human and of living on this exquisite planet. She didn't know that the Buddha considered being born human to be the most fortunate of births, as we have the best conditions for waking up. She didn't know that all the joys and sorrows, the trials and tribulations give the heart the workout it needs to grow the capacity to the fullest. She knew that it was time to wrap up her affairs, to say goodbye, to ask and offer forgiveness where it was needed. And she needed to ensure that her children and her husband would be okay as we could be. She didn't dwell on being in pain or dying. She focused on the love around her. That was her peace. When my mother died, I grieved for years. And as you see, I still cry when I talk of her. How could I lose my best friend? And I find myself asking that again. As my current best friend, a woman who's only 5 days older than me, is dying. Loss and appreciation live side by side. I am again in awe of this teacher who wakes me up to what's most important, who reminds me to take nothing or any, not to take anything or anyone for granted. We are all shooting stars hurtling across the sky. Who knows when the light will go out, but I assure you, I am committed to growing and shining this light as brightly as possible as I blaze across that sky. You want to come with me? It won't always be easy. Aging, illness, loss will surely visit, as will the 10,000 joys and sorrows. But sorrow helps us notice, feel, and appreciate the blessing of joy. Don't get me wrong. Grief is weighty, but we can choose to bring forward someone's goodness. I miss my mother most days, but it's her joyful radiance that's left an indelible mark in my heart. And that's what I draw strength from. Watching my mother live and love to the best of her ability really helped me realize that I needed to meet my body where it was. I learned to honor the truth of its fragility and appreciate all that it can and does do. It's aging. It gets ill. It's still recovering from being sick 3 weeks ago. This body isn't as resilient as it once was. Even at baseline, it's never been hardy. The body needs more care, not less, as we age. As things begin to break down, give them what they need to live as well as they possibly can, given their strengths and limitations. Love locally, as we like to say, as a loving mother, parent, elder, wise friend, benefactor would. Take good care of the whole of this. Choose, deliberately choose to live as well as possible, to exercise, to eat well, to take care of this body when it gets sick, tired, or overworked. At 21, aware that I, and anyone else for that matter, could die at any moment, I drafted a living will. My mother's death inspired and informed me of how I wanted to live, and for that matter, die. I wanted to make the hard choices. I didn't want anyone else to have to guess or doubt my wishes. I choose life. Choose to live deliberately, to fully experience and savor as many moments as possible, right up to my last breath. We saw a movie the other night, Stephen King, my first Stephen King movie. It's called The Life of Chuck. It reminds us that every moment in this crazy world counts. And it asks us how we're living our lives and invites us to appreciate and savor the flavor. Chuck could be anyone. As a boy, he discovers that at some point he's going to die. He doesn't know when, but instead of dwelling on that, he decides he's just going to go on living his life fully. Even take chances, like dancing in the middle of a street. He knows life will end in death at some day, but for now, there's a focus on living well, on living life out loud. So, yeah, it's true. We're all going to die. We don't know when. Let's not ignore this truth, but let's live its teachings. Let's not focus on the dying part, but let's have it illuminate and instruct and inform how we walk through each day. Huh. Let's focus on gratitude for all the small things, the small pleasures, for the people, the animals in our life. And let's support these bodies to live as well as they possibly can for as long as possible, honoring and lovingly care for their limitations, the aches, the pains, the forgetfulness, the arthritis, the heart condition. Live as well as you possibly can for as long as possible. Why not? Or maybe consider following what the poet Naomi Shihab Nye suggests in her poem, The Art of Disappearing. Walk around feeling like a leaf. Know you could tumble at any second, then decide what to do with your time. We can do this. It's for our welfare. It's for the welfare of all the beings we encounter in this precious world we live in. I thank you for your kind attention.